What's up, everybody? This is Brian.
And I'm Logan, and this is Tops. Sup. And this is Bottoms. Sup. I'm on this side, and I'm on this side. Wow. And we're Crash Cards. Hi, team. Happy TGIF. It is Friday. Whoa. You look great, so you know. Mwah.
So today we are bringing you probably one of the most highly anticipated decks, not only for you guys, but honestly for me as well. I have been looking forward to playing this deck ever since the Numeron cards got released. This is easily the new best meta deck to beat. If you guys haven't been able to tell, it is Numeron Eldlich. This deck's ceiling is absolutely incredible. It gives Eldlich even more of an advantage than it already had in the metagame, and it is just absolutely incredibly consistent. And just to showcase that, we will be doing some test hands at the end just to show how awesome this deck really is. But before we get into that, if you guys are not already a subscriber, feel free to go down now and hit the subscribe button. It really does support the channel. Throw this video a like and comment how you plan to counteract this deck, because this is the new deck to beat.
We also have an Instagram. It's at CrushCardsYGO. We're on there all the time. It's Instagram. We answer messages. We post stories. It's a good old time. We also have a super wholesome Discord community that's been bopping lately. I add new roles if you're active. It's really fun. We Photoshop tops onto things. It's a good time. And then if you want to further support the channel, we have a Patreon. You still have time. There's a week left in the month. You can still see the bloopers at the end of this month, and you'll get all of August's benefits starting August 1st. So make sure you sign up in the next week. But if not, it's totally fine. I'm just happy you're here.
So before we get into this real quick, just a few things. First and foremost, I just want to shout out this absolutely incredible prismatic rare Eldlich Field Center. You can get them. The links are in the description box down below. It's Cardboard Gaming, and if you use our discount code CrushCards10, you get 10% off your entire purchase. I mean, don't you just want to flex on your opponent with this? You're already flexing playing this deck, which leads me to my next point. This is not a budget deck whatsoever. This deck costs over $1,000. So I just want to let you guys know there will not be any budget options. There will not be any budget alternatives. This deck is expensive.
But good news is, even if you're not going to play the deck for whatever reason, at least now you can see how the deck functions. So if you end up playing against it, you can counteract it. So just take it as a learning experience, if anything. But with that being said, let's learn about this deck. I'm excited.
Woo!
I want to know.
All right, so the last thing that I do want to know is this is a 41 card deck, because we are choosing to play 3 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. You don't need to. 2 is very, very optimal, but there are a few plays that require you to kind of open this card. So if you can't search it, you do want to open this card. Everyone knows what this card does, but if you don't, you can send this card and 1 spell trap card you control from your hand to the graveyard, and then target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. So it's not destruction. It's really cool. It can be yours and your opponent's cards, which are really, really good. That has a lot of synergy with your Numeron cards, just so you guys know. And then the other effect is, if this card is in your graveyard, you can pop one of your own spells and traps and then add this card to your hand and then special summon any zombie. You are only playing 1, which is himself, so he just special summons himself off that effect. Then it becomes 3,500 attack and defense, can't be destroyed by card effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. So really, really good. This is your boss monster of the deck. Helps you break boards, helps you just get all your interactions going. This is one of the key parts of the deck. We are playing triple copies of Magician's Souls and then the 1 Apprentice Illusion Magician. I know this is not a budget option, but this card basically is Pot of Greed. It says draw 2, and then Apprentice Illusion Magician is really, really good, because even if you open her, which you don't want to do, you can still ditch any of your Eldlich spells and trap cards directly from your hand to your graveyard and then banish them to get their effects to still set 1. So you don't go neg 1 off of the effect, plus you've got a relatively beefy body on board. But yeah, we do play this. Everyone thinks that this conflicts with the Numeron engine. If you play your cards in your deck right, it does not. So definitely still playing the 3 Magician Souls and the 1 Apprentice Illusion Magician. And then for our hand trap lineup, we are playing triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is the best one.
Secret rares.
Yeah, I honestly did test out Ghost Ogre, but like, this deck doesn't have a real big issue in the mirror match. So this card is really, really strong against every other deck, and it's just more impactful. So you could play Ash, you could play Ogre, you could play Nibiru, whatever you want. These are just the 3 that I chose because I think they're the most impactful in today's metagame.
Look at her forehead. It looks so good.
Yeah, don't play the feet, guys. Come on, man. What are you doing? And then to round out for the monsters, we're playing triple copies of Numeron Wall. This card is ridiculous. So what this card says is, if you control no cards except Numeron Walls, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and activate 1 Numeron network directly from your hand or deck. They can't Ash this, because just like Banshee, for all of my zombie fans, this activates from deck. It doesn't search. So this just activates the field spell, and if you are going second, it's a quick effect, so it's literally just gets you your cards on your opponent's turn also. This card is insane. And then it also has like a really cool battle fader effect. You don't really use it often, but when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, end the battle phase after the damage step. So really cool. It's really good. Gets you your field spell super fast, so play this at 3 because you want to maximize your chances of seeing it. And then we are playing triple copies of NUMERON Network. This card is absolutely insane. For any of you guys who do not know what this card says, it's during the main phase, you can send one NUMERON normal spell trap card from your deck to the graveyard. That is the cost, so they can't even ash this. The only way to pop this card is Ogre, which is definitely a card, ironically, right here, that's going to see way more play in the main deck now. So just be careful of that. And then this effect becomes that spell card's effect when activated. So what you're going to do is on activation, you are going to send one of your NUMERON Calling, which is why we play it at 2, because you want this card in the deck. The only reason you play it at 2 is because if you open it, you hopefully have another copy in your deck live still. So this card says if NUMERON Network is in your field card zone and you control no monsters, special summon up to 4 NUMERON Gate Xyz monsters with different names from your extra deck. Just banish them at the end phase. Also, you can only normal or special summon once for the rest of the turn. So the really cool interaction is that this card sends the calling, and then the calling is basically now the network's effect. So network also provides you another really cool interaction where your NUMERON Xyz monsters you control can activate effects without detaching material. We would get to the extra deck, you will see exactly how powerful that really is. And then this is something I've been testing. A lot of people are probably not going to choose to play this, especially in the Eldritch variant. However, triple copies of Memories of Hope. This card is ridiculous in this deck. So what this card says is draw cards equal to the number of number monsters with different names that you control. If you special summon out 4 Xyz number monsters, this card says draw 4. It's ridiculous. If you open this in any of your NUMERON cards, it's just game. You win the game because you just drew 4 cards in your first turn. It's nuts. And then you go into zexal, your opponent can't play the game, and you still have like 6 cards in hand, 7 cards in hand. This card's unfair. So I would rather take my chance of hard opening this, and like it's not a big deal if you do mid to late game because your resource pool is already so recurable that a dead card isn't like detrimental. And then we do want to maximize on seeing our field spell as fast as possible, so we are playing the 1 copy of Terraforming. I mean, it's Terraforming. Search your field spell. This is the only thing in the deck your opponent can hash. And then we are playing triple copies of Cursed Eldin. This card is also ridiculous in the deck. Pay 800 life points, add 1 Eldritch monster or 1 golden land spell trap directly from your deck to your hand.
I mean, they could ash that.
Yeah, I guess Logan's right. You can ash this too, but realistically,
I think there's several things they could ash, but it's okay. We understood what he meant.
Yeah, if your opponent's ashing this, they're kind of silly. But that being said, if this card is sent from the spell trap zone to the graveyard, you can send 1 Eldritch monster or golden land spell trap from your deck to your graveyard. This card's nuts. Like, this is also another searcher. It like searches on activation and every turn by paying 800 life points, and when it's destroyed, you still send a card so that you can banish it and recur resources. Like, this card is ridiculous.
This card's nuts. It's basically a field spell. It's whack. This card's
it's like
nutty.
a continuous field spell that's not a field spell.
It's so nutty.
It's unfair. This card's really, really good.
Wow.
And then off to our Eldlixir lineup, we are playing double copies of Eldlixir of Black Awakening, and then the 1 copy of Eldlixir of White Destiny. So just to kind of breeze through all of these effects, the Eldlixirs have the effect where they can banish themselves to set golden land spell and traps, and then the golden land spells and traps can banish to set Eldlixirs. So just keep that in mind. All your Eldlixirs get your golden lands, all your golden lands get your Eldlixirs. Black Awakening special summons 1 zombie monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but if you don't control Eldritch, you basically, this just says special summon Eldritch. It locks you into zombies for the turn, so definitely be mindful of that. And then Eldlixir of White Destiny is kind of the same thing. It's special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand or graveyard, but if you don't control Eldritch, you special summon Eldritch. So basically these cards just say get Eldritch out of your deck or out of your hand and graveyard. So really, really good recursion. Arguably, you can now play this card at 1 if you want this to be a 40 card deck, or you can drop Eldritch. You could drop 1 of these, 1 Eldritch, play a couple more hand traps. It's really up to you, but definitely you play these cards. It's really, really good in the deck because it gets your engine going as soon as possible. And then moving off into our traps, we are playing triple copies, obviously, of the best Eldritch spell and trap that has ever been created.
Wow.
Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This is a trap version of your Black Awakening. It just says special summon Eldritch from your graveyard or your deck. Like, it's incredible. You can do it on your opponent's turn. Really, really good. And then because it's an Elixir, it can banish to search your golden land spells and traps. The only thing is, if I did not mention before, is you can only activate one of each effect. So if you like activate this to get Eldritch, you can't banish it to get a golden land spell trap. You have to wait. So you can only use one effect per turn. But good news is, this is a trap, so you can do this on your turn, and then on your opponent's turn, woo, set a golden land. Really, really good. And then to round out for our interruption, we are playing triple copies of Conquistador, triple copies of Hakero, and then the one copy of Golden Land Forever. This is just a pop if you control Eldritch and it becomes a monster. This is a DD Crow and it becomes a monster, and then this is your counter trap. Really, really good. They're all golden lands, so not only are they searchable off of your Cursed Eldin, but they are also searchable off of all of your Elixirs, because you can banish to set these cards. And then once again, resource game, you can banish these to set your Elixirs. Really strong. The only condition is you have to control Eldritch to activate all of their effects. If you do not control Eldritch and you're in like a really, really nasty position, you can still activate them to special summon them as like monsters in defense position, just to ensure you don't die. You just don't get the effects. Arguably, you could drop one Hakero, but like graveyard-centric decks are everywhere in the metagame, and like a freaking searchable counter trap. This is ridiculous. This deck is insane.
It is a total aside that's totally irrelevant, but I was just sitting over here staring at Scarlet Sanguine, and if you just ignore the whole like zombie aspect and how like disturbed they look, they kind of look like they're having a dance party. Like it's like a big disco ball, and they're just vibing, you know? I don't know, that's just where I'm at during this. I'm just on the side, I'm sorry. All right.
And then to round out, of course, we're playing the best hand trap in the entire game right now. We are playing triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. This card just tells your opponent no. Really, really good. If you're going first, you could set it, and it shuts off a spell trap in the column. Or if you're going second, you could still activate it from your hand and just shut anything off. Really, really good counter in the mirror match, or it's also a really, really good counter against VFD, because VFD says you can't play, and you're playing a deck that does that, so that's not fair. You only want your opponent not to be able to play, so shutting off a VFD, really, really, really strong. So yeah, that's the 41 card deck. Let's get directly into the extra deck.
Wow.
So moving up into our extra deck, we're just going to throw all these number monsters on the board real quick because there's a ton of them. We are playing double copies of number 1, double copies of number 2, double copies of number 3, and 1 copy of number 4. You arguably could play double copies of all of them. The only instance that I found was that you really don't need multiple copies, because going first, you're only going to summon 3, because if you're a smart player, you would know that if you summoned 4 and then you went into Zexal,
That's Nibiru!
that's Nibiru, and you don't want to lose.
Even I knew that.
Yeah, so you want to summon 3 of these and then overlay into your Zexal, and then you pass turn and your opponent has a Nibiru stuck in their hand. They're even more mad because not only do they have a dead hand trap, but they can't play on their own freaking turn. So really cool.
Love it.
The only reason you would go into 4 is if you have Memories of Hope in your hand, and if they Nibiru you, you're gonna go +4 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Nibiru is not a big threat anymore.
But be mindful. Count to 5.
And then the only reason I only play the 1/4, once again, you can play as many of them as you'd like, is going second. This allows you to get that OTK, because for any of you guys who don't know, every single one of these, 1, 2, 3, and 4 have the same exact effect, which says they cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of the damage step, if this card battle an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters you currently control until the end of the turn. So what's really busted about this is, if you guys remember the really, really fair field spell, the field spell says that you do not need to detach material to activate effects. So basically what you're going to do is, going second, you're going to enter battle with number 1, attack, you'll take a little bit of damage, not a big deal, and then this will activate. You don't detach any material because the field spell will be face up, and then this will become 2,000, this will become 2,000, this will become 2,000. Attack again, activate, once again, no detaching. This is now 4,000, this is 4,000, attack. Oh my gosh, guess what? Activate, don't detach. This is now 8K. Guess what that is, my friend? Game. Whoo, ridiculous. These cards are absolutely nuts. The only reason you play the 4 is because if you're going second and you know you're going to be in that advantageous spot where you can kill your opponent, do this instead.
Wow.
And then we are choosing to play the 1 copy of C1 Numeron Chaos Gate Sonya. The only reason we're playing this card is because it does provide you some really, really niche interactions, and it can get you out of some sticky situations if you need it. You do not have to play this card. You can choose to play any other card that you want, but C1 says that you can just Xyz summon this card by using number 1 Numeron Gate Cam. Here he is.
Oh,
Look at
we
our
love
little
a Cam.
He looks like a little gate too, like no pun intended.
Well,
Whoa.
I mean, wow, it's almost like he's supposed to be, oh, jeez. Oh, Lord.
And then you transfer the material, but realistically, you're probably not going to have any material. Totally fine. But if this card is Xyz summoned, banish all monsters on the field.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. This card just goes boom, bye, see your whole field.
That's wild.
And then, if that's not busted enough, once per turn during your next standby phase, after this card was banished, because it does banish itself, you can special summon this banished card. Then, if Numeron Network is in your field zone, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined attack of all banished Xyz monsters. You're probably going to hit him for at least 3 to 4k, which is really, really nuts. This is another 2k damage. And then, if you are playing the Eldritch engine, which obviously we are because this is Numeron Eldritch, you can just go in with Eldritch and swing for game. It's nuts. This card is so fun.
Wow, he's basically banish and get big. He's Zero Boros, essentially.
But he's so much easier to make because it's just like, oh yeah, here's number 1, and here I am. Oh, I'm summoned by... It's really crazy. It's not fair. And then, speaking of not fair, we have the most unfair card in the game right now. I would not be surprised if this card gets hit on the next upcoming ban list. And the reason why is because, let's read this card together. We're going to read it slow. Let's talk about how fair this card is. This card says that this card's rank is always treated as 1. That's fine. No one cares. This card's Xyz summon cannot be negated. Oof. Let's just talk about that right now.
That's really
you can't stop this. Like, that is already broken enough.
Stop the funk.
And then it says, when Xyz summoned, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated.
Period. And you can't negate the summon.
It's
like, what?
unfair. Like, it's not fair. Oh, guess what? That's balance. No, it's not. Wait for the next effect. Quick effect. You can detach 1 material from this card. Your opponent's cards cannot activate.
This turn.
Unreal.
Wow.
Your opponent can't play. This card literally says, summon this card, detach a material, skip your opponent's turn.
Wow.
That's what this says. They can't stop the summon. This is unreal.
Wow.
The only this card is not fair.
It also gains 1,000 attack for each material attached to it. So
yeah, so you're basically gonna make this card 3,000. It's unfair. This card is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, this card.
I sound like Owen Wilson, but wow.
I want to play this. Like, I wanted to play this deck because it's unfair, but like, we're only playing this deck for 2 months because this card is definitely getting banned. Like, a card that's like, I think VFD is unfair. This card is not even okay. Like, why they printed this card is not. What?
It's like they were like, just wait, years from now, we're going to make this meta as hell.
It's stupid. This card's so good.
Wow.
And then, speaking of cards that are super good, shout out to Konami for giving us the Lost
Yay.
Art. Finally, for our Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon, Gustav Max.
What a guy.
And then our good old buddy, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon, Juggernaut Leeb.
My little love.
Yeah, these ultra rare look really, really good. The Lost Art just complements Leeb super well.
They look super cool.
Obviously, you just detach 1 material from this card, inflict 2k to your opponent's life points.
Well, bam.
It's incredible. And it's a 3k beater. It's literally just 2 Eldritch. And then for Leeb, for anyone who doesn't know, you literally just stack this on top by overlaying on top of any level 10 machine monster. Really, really good. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card. You can gain 2,000 attack and defense. That's permanent, by the way. That's not till the end of the turn. That's permanent. So you can detach 1 on your turn, a detach a 2, and then a detach a 3. And then this card is ridiculously huge.
Big boy.
And then if you activate that effect for the rest of the turn, this is the only card that can attack. The passive effect, which is not part of that, is that this bad boy can attack all monsters your opponent controls. Freaking crazy. Like, what? How many more win conditions do you need in this deck? It's unfair. And by the way, of course, these are train cards. If you haven't checked out our buddy Zach, who is in the Discord and hosts his own Pain Train Challenge, we will link the deck profile right here in the corner. There it is. Go click on that and check out how nasty the train deck is. But Eldritch is just abusing these cards even worse.
Great. Typical Yu-Gi-Oh!
And then moving off into the links, we are playing the 1 copy of Psy-Frame Lord Lambda. That's a tongue twister.
There you go. It took him 5 takes to get that.
But this is literally just 2 monsters except tokens, which is cool because we are not playing the synchro version anymore. This just allows you to get certain stuff off the field to kind of benefit. You can get some of your Eldritch traps to banish them, or if you have Eldritch on the field and you need to like get some of your stuff off the field, you can link away Eldritch and then bring them back by popping some of your own spells and traps. It comes up sometimes, and if you're Patreon members, you guys get access to the side deck. Maybe this reveals 4 cards. Moving off into our link 3s, we are playing the 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card's just freaking
look at my...
freaking nuts.
Wow, we love BLS.
Yeah, with BLS, it's 3 monsters with different names, but if a level 7 or higher monster is used, like, I don't know, Eldritch, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this card is really, really good because it gives you like an indestructible and untargetable monster. And then during the battle phase, if this card destroys a monster, you get to choose one of these 3 effects. The first of which being this card, it gains 1500 attack. That's permanent, by the way. So like, not only is this card going to be 4500, but it's indestructible and cannot be targeted by card effects. So it's like super duper good. Or the second effect being that this card can make a second attack during the next battle phase. And then the third of which is banish 1 card on the field, non-targeting removal. Ridiculous. Like, this card just gives you so much utility in the deck. It's your auto win against control decks. And then moving off, we are playing the 1 busted Infinitrack Fortress Mega Klops. This card is nuts. If y'all don't have this card, go get this card now. This deck is easily going to make this card rise in price. This takes 3 Xyz monsters, which is not a hard thing for you to do because you have a field spell that specials 4 from your extra deck for free. It's unaffected. Let's read that part again. Unaffected by other monsters' effects except Xyz monsters. Cannot be destroyed by battle except with Xyz monsters. That's nuts. Can't be destroyed except by an Xyz monster. Can't be beaten over except by an Xyz monster. Oh, did we forget to mention it's 4K attack?
Big Tonka truck over.
What? Like, why did these cards exist? Its effect is that you can target 1 Xyz monster in your graveyard and then 1 card your opponent controls, special summon the Xyz card from your grave, and then if you do, attach the opponent's card as material for the rest of the turn. Any damage your opponent takes is halved, which is totally fine because you basically just special summon Zexal back, which is why we're only playing the 1 copy, and then you get to add one of your opponent's cards to it as material. You get the Zexal lock once again. Even though you're only having your opponent's battle damage, you have more than enough damage typically in this deck to still kill your opponent with. And then last but not least, we are playing the 1 copy of Saryuja's Skull Dread. A lot of people are teching this in. The reason is because if you guys saw our budget side deck option, one of the cards is Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Also, leave the link right there for you guys. Ghost Reaper is a card that will probably see a lot more play, at least theoretically, because they are just going to banish your Zexal, and if they do, totally fine. You now have 4 materials on the field. You can Saryuja and draw 4 cards still, and then fix your hand, put back any bricks, and you can just set 5 and pass. It's nuts. Like, you still get to play the game through them banishing one of your win cons. Yep, and that's it. 2, 3, 3, 4. Really, really good. You don't need more. I think like this deck is still in the testing phases. So comment down below what you guys think of this deck, some of the choices. But before we get into the test hand and combo section, if you guys are interested in the side deck, they will be on Patreon. All of our side decks are on Patreon. Feel free, any tier, you get access to all of them.
With that being said, let's go into some testing and see what this deck can do and how sad it can make everyone else.
Okay, so we are just gonna shuffle real quick and then just demonstrate how ridiculous this deck can be. So that being said, after a cute, fun little couple shuffle off, I guess this here with our brand new beautiful field channel you can check out in the links in the description box down below, we are gonna have our opponent cut.
Oh my god, I can't wait to not play. This is so exciting. This is just Yu-Gi-Oh!
Woo! This deck wants to go first, can't go second, but we're gonna draw a Hakero, our field spell. Wow, isn't that just busted? IMPERIUM. Oh my god, a freaking Sanguine. What else can we see? This is the most busted hand that this deck can afford. That's unfair.
Wow.
That's yeah, you literally won the game just with this hand
This
alone.
is the first hand.
This
Nutty.
is ridiculous.
Consistency, y'all.
Alright, so we are going to just activate the field spell, and the activation cost will be to send a Numeron Calling directly from our deck to our graveyard. Once again, as activation, they cannot ash this. Now the Calling's effect has become the Network's effect. So the Network will allow us to special summon 1, 2, and 3. Remember, you don't want to get the beard, so we're just going to have these. And because now we are only locked into 1 more summon, we're going to overlay into our number S0 Utopic Zexal. That being said, we are going to set 4 cards, probably in separate columns because we want to play around Mech Knights even though their opponent's not going to be able to play. That's totally fine. Don't worry. We're just going to put our graveyard over here. So yeah, so what's going to happen now is we are going to enter our opponent's turn. Oh my god, guess what?
Wow, you're not playing today, bud.
Did you say skip your turn? That's what I heard. That's skip your turn. So the cool interaction about the cards that we have now is say your opponent has like a Forbidden Chalice or an IMPERIUM or something that can stop this when it activates. We did open, really tough sometimes. You can get there by like drawing into into it, especially if you have Memories of Hope. But if you have an Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine and a Conquistador, the really cool interaction is that it's going to be Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, your opponent is going to activate Impermanence, Chain Link 3, you're going to activate Golden Land, and then Chain Link 4, you're going to activate the Scarlet Sanguine. And now on resolution, because you control Eldritch, the Conquistador will pop the Zexal. Your opponent's Impermanence will resolve without target, and then Zexal will resolve as Chain Link 1. So then at the end of the chain, you still have 2 bodies on board. Your Zexal has resolved. Your opponent lost an Impermanence, cannot play the game. And guess what else we have, friends? We have a DD Crow and an Imperm. So, like, this is the end board. It's really, really easy to play this deck. You do have to, like, resource management sometimes, but, like, this deck kind of plays itself.
Well, damn, that was fast. Usually test hands take 10 years, but I guess when you're telling your opponent they can't play, it ends pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and then, like, what do we draw for turn? We draw...
Jesus
oh, my God.
criminy!
Not that we really have to, but, like, we can just link these 2 away into something else, special something. Like, this is just the resource game at this point. Like,
this is awful.
It's unfair.
This is
It
so
really is unfair.
gross.
And then, like, you have these 2 sets still, so, like, you have 3 interruptions on your opponent's turn.
Oh my
you
God.
have battle, and then, like, you can banish this on your end phase to get another card. Like, it's just super good. It's really consistent. Such a fun deck. This is zone 5, by the way.
Well, yeah, this is nutty. I don't know, team. I think this is pretty darn cool. If you're not impressed by this, I mean, I don't know. I think this is pretty nice.
This deck is not fair.
This is ridiculous.
Like, Eldritch was already busted as could be, but, like, now this is, like, I would argue this is borderline, like, tier 0. Like, it's maybe tier, like, 0.5.
It's funny because he's S0. Oh, my God. It's all been a plot. Konami, I see you doing this, you silly, silly people.
But even though this deck is seriously degenerate, we just wanted to showcase you guys not only what a deck like this can do, but show you some of the choke points. So you can ogre this, and on activation, even though it sends for cost, it will not resolve to special summon the 3, or if your opponent does not open like a Conquistador and an Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine, you basically can imperm it, but like, once again, it's like a luck game. Did you draw Impermanence? Did you draw the Ghost Ogre? Did you draw the Chalice? Like, if not, you can't play, and then the game's basically over at that point. So just wanted to showcase like what kind of a threat is now in the metagame, because these cards are legal as they came out in Battles of Legend Armageddon. So if you guys haven't seen that video, once again, there it is right there. Go check it out. There's also a giveaway for it. And
yes, you have until Monday to enter the giveaway, so be sure to go and enter it. It's super easy. You'll win a sealed box of Armageddon. Oh wow, look, it's almost like I have it right here. You can win this. You. So be sure to enter. Yeah, it's blessed by Tops. The Starlight's probably in here, to be honest.
But that is it for today's video, guys. We hope you have an incredible weekend. Watch out for this ridiculous deck and ridiculously expensive deck.
But we hope you have an awesome weekend. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's been an awesome week, and we have some fun stuff planned for you next week. Like, really fun. Like,
yeah, like stuff you've been looking forward to.
Like stuff you guys have been waiting
here,
for.
Can we zoom in on this word right here?
Oh,
Is it?
No, wrong way.
Oh,
Go
you
down,
can't because it
down
won't focus.
more,
But
down a little more. Go down.
It's that word right.
Oh. Stay tuned, folks. Next week's gonna be a ride. All right, we love you. You matter. Have a good weekend, team. We love you. You matter. Again.
Bye, my friends. Bye. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Get your payday. Get your food. Get your drinks. Get your woo.